Okay, I wanted to bleed the brakes with a vacuum system, so I went online to see how much they cost, and on YouTube there was a guy that showed you how to make one. So I want to show you what I got here. There's my shop vacuum. It comes up and around, and it's taped off to a smaller hose. All right, so now the vacuum will come into here. Now let me pull that off temporarily. And what you do, you put, he said you put it in a glass jar. All right, and I found this thing. I have no clue what it was, but it has like a little flange. So I put a couple of screws to hold it and some silicone sealer from the back side. You know, I pushed it up in from the jar side up this way against the sealer, and then put screws to hold it there. And then I took a 1/4-inch brake line and I soldered that to the lid. You know, scratched the paint off, soldered it here, soldered it on the underside. The 1/4-inch clear line presses onto that. All right, and I got it being held upright in this old coffee can with some there's some small chain in the bottom just for weight, so it doesn't tip over. Now the other end of the line presses onto the bleeder screw, and you put the wrench on there first. Put the wrench on and then press on the bleeder screw, so you can tighten it and open it without taking the hose off. Alright, so let me put this back on here. There. And it's going to be kind of loud, so I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me talking, because this thing screams. But pulling the air out of the system. Cool, huh? I don't know the guy's name. I don't remember the video, but I just remember watching the video. I said, man, I can make one of them. So, cool, huh? Now I hope what I'm seeing is air coming out of the line and not air sucking in around the bleeder screw, because the bleeder screw is loose. Because if that's the case, I'm going to be here for days. But anyways, I'll let you know how it works. Kind of neat. Okay, the brakes are bled, and I used that little vacuum thing, but what I found out was it's deceiving. Those air bubbles coming by, some of them, if not most of them, are air being sucked in around the seat of the bleeder screw. Once you loosen that bleeder screw back, then air can get sucked around and then pulled in, because what I was doing, and some comes around the hose. You know, it doesn't, there's no clamp that really goes around that, the nipple of that bleeder screw. So, and how I figured that out is I was watching the reservoir go down, and for the amount of air that was coming out of the cylinder, it should have sucked that master cylinder reservoir dry in seconds. But it wasn't going down very fast. So what I did was, just as an experiment, I shut the bleeder screw, and there was still a little bit of brake fluid in the hose, and there was still getting air bubbles, even though the bleeder screw was closed. So that tells me it's sucking air, okay, from the outside. The good news, that's the bad news. The good news is because it's sucking air away from that bleeder screw, you could leave the bleeder screw open, you know, like a half a turn, step on the brake pedal, and you could watch the fluid go through. When you release the brake pedal, air didn't get sucked back in. You know, you could watch the air bubbles move away from the bleeder screw, but they wouldn't go back when you let back up on the pedal. So, in a way it's good, and in a way it's not. You know what I mean? You can't just sit there and let it run by itself and then just keep topping off the master cylinder. It didn't work like that. But if I let the vacuum run and draw the air away from the bleeder screw, pump the pedal 3-4 times, refill the master cylinder, pump the pedal 3-4 times until there was no more, I didn't see any bubbles at all coming out of where I stepped. I mean, you'd get like maybe 8 inches of fluid coming through when you stepped on the pedal, and within that 8 inches there weren't any air bubbles. So I said, okay, I think it's done. Now I'll, you know, once I get the motor in and the vacuum and all that, I'll try it again. But that's what I found out, and that's what I got tried today. That's what I tried, and we'll see. We'll still experiment with it a little bit and see if I'm doing it wrong, or it needs a clamp, or it's just an inherent problem, because as soon as you break that bleeder screw open, it's going to suck air from the outside world. You know what I mean? I think you'd probably have to get some kind of bleeder screw attached to the wheel cylinder, and not anywhere, you know, there's no way you could get air around it. It has to go right to the brake system. But I don't know how you would do that and still shut it off. So, that's what I got so far, and over and out.